You seriously hit them over the head way too hard. Look at the size of that bruise. If we went with my idea with the chloroform from the start, this wouldn't have happened. What is the point of bringing them here to care for our darling captive if we're just going to scrape them up?
I wouldn't have needed to hit them over the head if you would have made up your freaking mind about when we should have done this. If it were solely up to me, I would have brought them here weeks ago. But no, you just had to stall because you wanted to see them more in their natural habitat. Sentimentality has always been your weakness, Kathy.
As if you being so quick to jump into random situations without thinking things through isn't also a weakness, Casey. Also, for someone who loves to do all the planning on these little excursions, you sure lack quite a bit of attention to detail.
How so?
Because if you didn't, you would have noticed that our darling captive has been awake for the last couple of minutes, listening to our conversation.
Oh, please. You don't give me enough credit, dear sister. I already knew. I just wanted to see how long it would take for you to notice. Well, since they're awake, let's get started, shall we?
Yes, let's. Hello, darling. How did you sleep? Although I'm not entirely sure how well you'd be able to sleep being tied to a chair. In any case, I'm sure you're incredibly confused right now, and that's perfectly understandable. Just sit back and relax, alright? Let us take care of everything.
You're scaring them, Kathy. Sweetheart, we promise we're not gonna hurt you. Well, we're not gonna hurt you any more than we already have. Don't worry, the time for all of that is over. Well, sweetheart, what my dear sister didn't explain to you was the fact that the two of us have been watching you for quite some time, and considering how ornery you've been the last few weeks, I'm sure that somewhere in the back of that beautiful mind of yours, you knew you were being watched. Whether you were at the grocery store, or the coffee shop, or even that cute cat cafe you love to frequent from time to time, we've been watching you, waiting for the right moment to strike.
Oh no, darling. No. No. We didn't bring you here to hurt you. No, just the opposite. We brought you here to make you our precious companion. My sister and I have always shared everything. It's a fact of life when you're twins, after all, but recently we decided that we needed to add a third member into our little party, and that's where you come in.
What an interesting expression you have going on there, sweetheart. Don't worry, it's nothing as untoward as what you're thinking right now. We just want someone new in our circle. Someone we can dote on and take care of for the rest of our days. Someone who will agree to being completely and entirely devoted to the two of us, never having the thought of leaving us cross their minds.
When we saw you looking so solemn in the coffee shop a few months ago, we knew you were the one. We knew right then and there that you would be the one to fill the void that the two of us have been suffering with this entire time. That somber expression you had painted across your face that day was so beautiful and so authentic and revelatory that it captured my attention immediately. I felt this overwhelming desire to wipe that expression off your face, to fill your cup with nothing but smiles and happiness for the rest of your days. Sure, we got off to a rocky start, but that's nothing time can't fix, right? Of course, if you really want someone to blame for this unfortunate scenario, feel free to blame my darling sister.
Yeah, I can't even deny that. It's true. Kathy wanted to play it safe and slowly reveal our possessive nature. Don't be fooled by that stoic face she's putting up. She's quite the devil underneath. Whilst she chooses to hide her greedy inclinations, I choose to embrace them. It's true that the two of us wanted you from the moment we saw you, but we just didn't know how to go about acquiring you. From day one, I wanted to drag you back here and keep you tied up and vulnerable for me and persuade you to give in. But Kathy convinced me otherwise. She kept pushing the inevitable to the point where I doubted that this would ever happen. But now that it has, I don't regret it one bit.
Of course you don't, but let's save the fun for later. For now, we need to patch them up. You put up quite the fight back when we acquired you. I'm incredibly impressed, but I do hope for your sake that you don't fight us going forward. We only want to love you, darling, to cherish you and care for you and make you ours for the rest of our days. If you can't understand that now, I'm sure eventually you will. Just give this some time, alright? Just give it a chance, and I promise everything will work itself out in the end, and the three of us will be perfectly happy. Now, let's get started. My, what soft skin you have, darling. To think my brazen sister nearly damaged it permanently. She did. I don't think I'd ever be able to forgive her.
Oh, please. I'm not so careless as to cause permanent damage, Kathy. I'm not the one to cause unnecessary harm, especially to our most prized possession. Look, all the scrapes and bruises are superficial. They'll all heal without a cinch. Although, even if you did get a scar or two, we'll still love and cherish you, sweetheart. Nothing wrong with that. In fact, it shows that you survived the various challenges life has thrown at you in the past.
Where did you get this burn, darling? This wasn't here the last time I surveilled you. What? At the coffee shop? When? I've watched you at the coffee shop nearly every day since we took an interest in you. What did... Someone bumped into you as you were heading to the restrooms and spilled their coffee all over your beautiful clothes and arm. And that's how you got this burn mark. You didn't happen to catch the name of this insolent fool, did you?
Kathy.
That impotent twit hurt our prized possession, Casey. They heard what's ours and damaged them permanently. This audacious display can't go unpunished.
And I agree. But for now, our first order of business should be taking care of them. Don't you think? We can save the fun for later, but for now, let's focus on caring for them, alright?
You're right. You're right. We should focus on taking care of them first. I'm sorry if I startled you, darling, but I never want to see you hurt. I only ever want to see you happy and smiling and free of any burdens. Oh, you're far too kind, darling, far too kind, but you know what they say. An eye for an eye. Even better if the rest of the world goes blind, because then we would be the only ones who'll have the honor and privilege of indulging in your beauty.
I take it back, sweetheart. It looks like my sister's restraint finally snapped. I've been waiting for this moment for quite some time.
I finally found someone worth protecting, dear Casey. You know I do the same for you.
Don't I know it? In any case, I just cleaned up the last of your scrapes. Let's take a look at those wrists of yours. If I untie you, do you promise to be good and do everything I say? Good. Very good. You're picking up on being ours immensely quickly. We're so proud of you. Now, just sit still, alright?
You tie them too tightly, Casey. Look how raw their wrists look.
I rather like it. A bit of a souvenir of sorts for the first night we met properly. Don't worry, sweetheart. It won't scar. Let's get this fixed up, alright?
Oh, I know, darling, I know it stings, but I need you to hold still while I do this, alright? It'll be over soon. Just to be good and stay still. You're very well behaved, darling. I'm so proud of you. There. All done. You can trust Casey to test your limits, but you can always trust me to patch you back up. Alright?
As if you'd never test their limits on your own.
Of course I would, but not like this. Anyhow, have you thought it through, darling? Do you agree to being ours? You don't really have much of a choice in the matter, but we do want you to go into this agreement with a positive outlook. We want you to be happy with this, to be happy with us. All these normal, mundane, inconsequential problems you've had in the past, you won't ever have to deal with them anymore. Everything you need, we'll provide for you. Everything you want, we'll give to you. We promise you'll never want for anything ever again, nor will you ever feel what's real pain or suffering ever again. What do you say, darling? Will you be ours?
Good. Then it's settled. Follow along, sweetheart. We'll show you to your room and your new life. Your better life can finally begin.